Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is Jon.
This is Crystal. We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom.
We share struggles, we brainstorm solutions.
And we would love to have you join us.
Welcome to another episode of Chaotic Harmony. This is another episode on the road, but thankfully we're making this video work because every single time we've always had video issues. But
we are on the road. We're in Anaheim.
Yes.
Yes, we're an hour away from home.
Hour and a half?
Hour and a half.
Traffic 2 hours?
Okay. Disneyland is that way.
If you're watching.
Right over there.
It's to our left.
I didn't know that Disneyland was this close.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
NAMM happens like across the street from Disneyland, so you can see the back of the Matterhorn.
Which is why we are in Anaheim, by the way. We're here for visiting NAMM, but also we're on this couch. That extra voice you might have heard is not...
It's Dr. Sarah.
Dr. Sarah.
Hi, Dr. Sarah from F Flat Books.
Hi, I'm sorry if I spoke before the reveal.
No.
You're totally fine. It's Chaotic Harmony. We go with it.
It's true. We go with it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for joining us. For those of our listeners who don't know about F Flat Books, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So I am Dr. Sarah Gulish, and I have been a music educator for years. I started teaching in 2007 outside of Philadelphia. And I started doing some publishing after getting my graduate degree and felt like there were some major inequities in the publishing system. And so in 2019, I started F Flat Books as a digital publisher. And the goal was to really make an equitable publishing space in music education. It grew to a point where I had to decide over this past year if I was going to do it full time or give it up, and I left my teaching job. I was at the same school for 16 years.
Oh,
wow.
And I made the leap to do F-Flat full-time-ish. I'm still adjuncting, so I have some other things going on, but mostly that's what I do now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you were teaching for 16 years. Were you teaching before? So you were at one set for 16 years. How long have you been teaching before you started F-Flat Books? Just out of curiosity.
So 16 minus 4 for 12 years. Yeah.
So you taught at the same school the whole time?
The whole time.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay.
So that must have been a
amazing.
huge... How was that?
Leaving?
Yeah.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I've known a lot of people who have left the profession for different reasons. For me, I wasn't leaving the profession unhappy, and I wasn't leaving it disgruntled. I loved my school. I loved my colleagues, truly had the best music team in the world. And I love my students. And as you know, I was an ensemble director amongst other things, but teaching at a high school, I would have kids from 9th grade to 12th grade. And so you develop these relationships. And especially during the pandemic, when so many of my kids were dealing with mental health issues, I felt closer to that group of kids than I had ever felt to a group of kids in the past. And so when I told them I was leaving, I had been sitting with it for a long time, but actually speaking the words out loud, just dealing with the questions from colleagues, and it wasn't a clean break. It was a little messy, and it was hard. It was hard.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. And I think it's okay, because I think sometimes, stories that I would see on social media of people taking a leap or doing a business full timer, I never saw that messy part of it. It just seemed all positive. And so I like to be able to say there are so many things that have been positive about it, but leaving was definitely hard, and it's getting easier, but I still miss my kids.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you share that, because you're right. Oftentimes whenever people post on something, it's forward facing, like it's all, you leave with happiness, happy tears, but there's a lot that goes into it. So it's good that, I'm glad you share that.
Yeah, I don't think leaving the classroom is ever an easy decision for any educator who's really in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So, but you're affecting so many teachers now, and your impact is so much greater, that I'm glad that you made the decision you did.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I think one thing that was helpful for me, and maybe for anyone who is considering something similar, is establishing some space to teach. So I'm adjuncting at a college, which is really helpful. And then I volunteer at my kids' school. I direct their musical. So I'm with a bunch of young elementary students. I get that chaotic music classroom joy once a week.
Is there harmony in there at all whatsoever?
There's chaotic harmony.
Yes.
And by chaotic harmony, I mean no properly executed harmony.
As it should be.
Yes.
Yes.
They're exploring other tonalities.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
100%.
That's awesome.
You mentioned, you're talking about when you're exploring wanting to create F-flat books, that there's a lot of inequities. What kind of inequities did you see that you wanted to address by creating F-flat books?
A lot. So let me think about some of the main ones. Most people don't know this, but when you publish your resources, and now the publishing industry is vast, you know, you have commercial publishing, you have like when you think of the novels that you see on the shelves in Barnes & Noble, fiction, nonfiction, the educational publishing space is a little bit different. And you have, you know, academic publishing houses that are geared towards higher education. Then you have more like practitioner-based publishing spaces. But all of these spaces have very low royalties. So if I sign on to do a book deal with one of the large educational publishers, I'm probably getting between 5 and 10% royalties. I'm probably not getting much of a advance, and I'm losing the rights to my work. And so I had a couple of publishing deals before starting F-flat Books, one with a research-based publisher, and my royalty was 2%. And I just remember reading this contract and being like, this must be a mistake. I get 2%.
Is it zero missing?
Yeah. Wow. What's happening?
Yeah.
And I remember reaching out to others in the field, and they were like, no, that's typical for a first time author.
Oh my goodness.
To get 2%. And they even had rules in place where if I don't hit a certain threshold in a year, I won't even see those royalties at all. So that was one of the inequities, is just, why are we taking so much from authors, including the rights to their work? Right. The second, just not a lot of flexibility in terms of resources. So this is pre-COVID.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, like, why aren't we having more digital resources? So the one book I published, I said, can we have a digital version that teachers can download that has links? Because a lot of what I'm sharing involves online tools. And they said, oh, we just don't have capacity for that. So flexibility, fair pay, and then the third one I want to mention is I saw a lot of emphasis on music from other cultures, but not from the culture bearers themselves. And so I thought, can we build a platform where we're really honoring the creators, and we're not just, content isn't the most important thing. It's actually the people behind the content.
So first off, I'm still blown away by that number. Is so minuscule, especially since books aren't that expensive to begin with. So the amount of money, relatively speaking, so the amount of money that you get is just even smaller.
And coming from teachers too, who are already underpaid, you know, when you get somebody who's going to create their own content, and that's the cream of the crop, those are the teacher leaders, and then you're not fairly compensating them for that.
Yeah.
And on top of,
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
And on top of that, the fact that, like, unlike people who can pump out a lot of books because they're not teaching, they don't have a full-time job. We as teachers, like, we pour ourselves into one book, and like we get that little money. If you don't mind me, so if you don't mind me asking, what's the if comparing to the 5%, what's the royalty that?
Yeah, so we started off by giving 70% to every author, which is much larger.
Yes,
And then we're in the spot now where, you know, we need to be generous, but also sustainable. And so we have a range. Our standard is 50%. And then we have what are called premium authors. It's a similar model to sites like TPT, where if you basically pay in as a member, you get a higher royalty rate. And what that helps us do is cover our costs. But then it also, we've noticed, like, puts the onus on our authors. So if they're investing, they're more likely to promote their work because they want to sell copies of their books.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I noticed too that you don't just have books on your website. You have merchandise, you have posters, there's clothing. So tell us a little bit about how it's evolved.
Yes. So being digital was twofold. It was so we could have flexible resources, but it was also because this was a side job, and I couldn't even imagine having physical goods. So anything you see on our site that's printed is by a third party. So we're not actually warehousing anything in my home. We're just sending it out through another company. But we are expanding this year into some physical distribution. Cool. So we're trying to get our books into more places. And really it's just about getting our authors more visibility. And then we also offer professional development.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I told you this when I first met you. Like, I did not realize. Mark had pointed out to me that because I was like curious to see initially when Alice released her book, We Are Gold. Initially, it was just digital. So, I wish there was a physical copy.
Yeah.
And then Mark says, "Well, that's why they're called F-flat books." It's like, wait, why? Oh, and harmonically, okay.
Yeah.
So, but you're you're branching out. It seems like into a regular F instead of an F-flat.
I know. we need a rebranding.
F sharp.
F sharp books. Yeah. We're starting a new imprint for our children's books that is called Enharmonic Books. So it's going to be slightly different branding. But I think at our core, we're always going to have digital resources because we love that flexibility. And we like, for example, we've had some books where we've already had a second edition. And if people have purchased the original one, they get immediate access to that with updated links and updated information. And I love that digital provides that flexibility. But especially for our children's books, there's something about, as you all know, like sitting in front of a classroom and physically reading a book to kids that's so valuable. And so we want to be able to do that too.
Right. Or even taking it home to your own kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know my boys, when they were little, that was really important to be able to sit with them and read a book with them.
Yes.
And there's something for a child to actually is touch the book.
Yeah.
Like I'm someone who like often
and
scans
not
the
pinch
books.
and try to zoom the pictures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I really do like the flexibility because that way I can just showcase the book onto my big screen.
Yeah.
Like I always have like PowerPoints of the books and what that I purchased, but there's something to be said about the tangibility and the kids. Oh, it's something that's real, for lack of a better term. I'm not sure. Something along
I'm a physical book person, which is so ironic because I don't read from a Kindle. I have way too many books in my library. Even coming here for this conference, I'm packing multiple fiction books in my bag. I always make space for books. So it's very ironic that I run a digital publisher and I understand the desire. Whenever people email us and say like, is there a physical version of this? I get it. So I'm excited to start dipping our toes.
That.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. I really love the people-centered approach. It seems like your mission statement and your story when I was just looking a little bit more into F-flat books after we talked at AOSA conference this year, it's just all about putting people first. So I know that you're on the same wavelength with us and where you're coming from the classroom, from that kind of place of equity with your students. But how are you seeing that in the music teaching world? Because that's been a big conversation. So what is your personal mission? It could just be you, Sarah Gulish, or it could be, with your company, F-flat Books, to promote those voices and bring more equity into the educator world.
Yeah. It's such a good question. And I think it's work that will never be finished, which for some people feels scary. For me, it feels like it's a moving target. That is encouraging because there's always more stories and always more voices to share. And I think as an organization, it can be easy to check box whatever society is saying with the loudest voice, where it's, we need to care about Asian lives now. Then a bunch of companies are scrambling to make sure we have representation, or we need to care about Black lives now. Now we're scrambling to have representation. And the truth is there are so many different cultures and stories that are in need of sharing. And so for me, a lot of what my mission is, my personal mission statement is connecting people with community and creativity. Those two aspects of human life, I think, are most important to me. Like, who is in our community and how are we being creative as people? And so, if you go to our author page and you see photos of all of our authors, you see diverse representation, but you also see gaps. And I think that that's a good thing for us to say, like, okay, well, we're not representing everyone, and who's missing, whose stories we don't hear. One of the beautiful things about our community is I can do outreach and try to cultivate songs and stories, but we also have people in our midst. For example, Kate Bright, who we were just talking about, she reached out to us and said, this woman from Ecuador has this incredible story. You should feature it. And so now we've developed this network where people are helping us fill in the gaps.
That is cool.
And I think that's important because I won't see everything we need. Yeah. And so it's an openness also to having people tell me, hey, you're really misrepresenting this, or you're missing out on this very important voice. And then the last thing I'll say is it's important for me to not just have one person as the representative of a culture or an experience. And so I'm constantly thinking about like, okay, well, where are the areas where we only have maybe one voice or one story, and how can we expand that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I was thinking too, how often we try to pull those token sort of things, like, okay, we filled in that slot, right? Like, okay, so it's, it's Black History Month, so we're going to talk about Aretha Franklin and check that off of the list or whatever. So if somebody wanted to be more kind of culturally aware and responsive in their classroom, and they're kind of looking to you for resources and professional development, where could they start to sort of examine their own lives, find things from you to fill in the gaps?
Yeah. Well, this year we started a Heritage Guide series, and we just put out our Black History Month Heritage Guide. And what I'm excited about with these is they're really built by our community members. So I'll reach out to our community members and say, hey, what do you think we should share for Black History Month? And so it's a collection of people outside of me, because again, my experience is limited to my experiences. And what I really try to encourage people to do is to celebrate creators and directly support creators who come from that culture, whether it's bringing someone into your classroom and paying them as an artist visit, or getting a resource and making sure that the person creating the resource represents that culture. Because I do think we've grown this expectation where we can on a Sunday night panic Google on TPT a lesson plan.
Stop calling me out.
I mean, we all do it, but not really think about like, well, who created this and what is their experience? And so I think celebrating different cultures in the classroom is a great opportunity to celebrate authors and creators. And that's what I try to encourage people doing. And just realizing you're not going to cover everything about a culture or know everything about a culture.
Sure.
But that should not keep you from jumping in and doing something. You shouldn't let that fear keep you from exploring anything.
That fear is real.
It is.
I think especially in this day and age where we share so much on social media, the fear of getting cut down for trying and not doing it perfectly.
Or on top of that, that's not even our peers, but we teach so many kids, their parents also, they're going to see what their kids are interacting with.
Yes.
If it is or isn't. I get the fear. I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry if you answered this question or not, but like, even though you focused a lot on books and also professional development, is there other ways that you've found to try to center other voices? Through not, as opposed to through story or PD?
I think one of the things that I've realized now being a part of the system that I was never a part of as a teacher, which is more, who are the stakeholders in music education and what are the voices that we're elevating? What I've noticed is we have these conferences and we have these state organizations, and what tends to happen is it's kind of the same people who we're seeing over and over again. And so one of my goals is being a person who provides opportunities and connects, again, that connecting to community. So for example, we're doing a project right now with NAMM, and it involves lesson plan writing, and I am able to tap into my community members and say, who wants to do this? Great. Now this is something you can put on your CV, and now you can take it somewhere else. And I think what's exciting about FLAP books and what's a little bit countercultural is because our authors keep the rights to their content, they can take it elsewhere, which I think is threatening for a lot of companies. But what we've noticed is it actually elevates our authors into new spaces, and we get a kickback from that either way. And so for me, it's okay, how can we be promoting, almost like an agent of people, but anytime I hear of opportunities, now I have this network of folks who are highly qualified that I can say, hey, you should be the one to speak at this event, or you should be the one to write this lesson plan. You're great at it. So I'm always thinking about like opportunities I can give my authors.
I think you're the wrong person to ask this question. I'm so blown away that authors don't have their ownership of their things they write.
Yeah,
like if anything, I would think that your model is the way to help bolster. It helps bolster your community in the end. It bolsters your company because then the authors want to invest more into.
Right.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Again, I'm it's not even a question. It's more of a what?
Yeah.
Cool.
For sure. Yeah. And we got criticism early on, which was, well, what if someone replicates your model and steals all your authors and puts you out of business? And we said, if the big companies started offering 50% royalties, we've won.
Yeah.
Who cares if FLAC goes out of business? That means that this is the standard and we've changed the system. And so I think that it's a good thing to keep in mind, is like, we're looking for systemic change, and we're part of that, but we're not the whole of it.
You're coming along with your little pirate ship.
Yeah. Here we come to take over.
Yeah, I was at Crystal and I were at a session yesterday, and it was asking people like, what's your why for why you put on a concert? And like, one of the more common responses was profit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, it was a word cloud.
It was a word cloud. It was like,
it was in an education session.
Really?
Yeah, but it was also tagged with business.
yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And so
we thought it was going to be like how to plan a concert.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I'll get back to that point, but another session I went to was on the first day, and we're talking about some blind spots you might have. And one of my blind spots I'm realizing is that I don't recognize that the rest of the other communities don't view things the way I do. So back to the initial points, like, I guess people do really focus on money making, and it's like that's like, but if the mission statement is to bolster community, if another company takes that and makes it bigger, then the mission won.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I think as educators, it's probably good if we're not business minded, if we're not just trying to think about profit. And I think one of my hardest lessons this past year has been, okay, we're people driven. Yeah. That's great. However, we won't help anyone unless we can find a way to be profitable. And so it's always a balance of how do we stay in our core value? How do we live out our mission? But how do we also expand our reach so that this is something we can keep growing?
Yeah. Money should never be a why. It's a result.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a consequence.
It's a means.
Yeah. I mean, it just is like, you're driving why you do something. That's, I know. We were both sitting there like,
what?
What?
I think both of us looked at the screen at the same time.
And then looked at each other.
Profit? What session are we a part of?
I know, right?
The second question was
what school do you teach in?
Yeah.
And the second question was like, how are you going to create that program? And none of both Chris and I, we were like texting each other. It's like, how
sitting next to each other and texting each other.
Been there.
How come one of the responses isn't learn the music?
Right. Yeah. Rehearse.
Take music out of the equation.
You know the phrase putting the cart in front of the horse. I think it's the cart in front of the mountain, in front of the
Yeah.
You know what? But I think that's so relevant to this conversation, because it's like the business world and the education worlds don't talk to each other.
They don't.
We don't understand each other.
And on the flip side, I mean, here is kind of the devil's advocate piece. It's why have, in my mind, when I started at FLABooks, why have authors and music ed professors specifically been so okay with being undervalued for their work for years and years and years? And in some sense, we do need to advocate more as professionals about what our worth is. And so I think having a healthy relationship with profit is important. But when you realize in other industries, people are being adequately compensated for their skills and their expertise, and in education, we're just okay with underpaying teachers.
Yes. Say it louder for the people in the back. Yes.
That's a bigger topic for maybe. Maybe we'll invite you for another one. That's a huge question.
Educators are conditioned to get what you get and don't throw a fit, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about changing it. I think that's the only way that we're going to move forward. We want people with lots of energy and passion who aren't going to burn out.
Yeah.
And you have to have a reason to stay, and you need to be able to adequately provide for your family.
Yes.
While you're on that path.
And something I've mentioned on many episodes is like this notion of like, we just focus on the four walls as educators. And so if we feel like, we're not being paid enough, like, okay, I'm biting the bullet, but I'm doing it for the kids. But from someone who has, like you, who has a more bird's eye view of what's going on, it's like, no, this is a bigger problem than just one teacher not being valued enough. This is a huge problem systemically, and this needs to be addressed.
Yes.
And so I tip my hat to you, or my beanie, I guess.
Your beanie.
Tip of the beanie.
Tip of the beanie.
Okay. Glad you didn't bring in that teeny. Okay. Anyways.
Teeny weeny beanie. It always comes back to that.
Backpedaling a bit, curious, because I know you've been, your goal was to uplift other voices. And like when I was like looking through your author list, there's a vibe, first off. I think that's the only way for me to describe it. But like,
I like that.
There is a vibe.
There is a vibe, and it's a good one. But how did you first get when you were creating your company at first, how did you get your folks, get the folks or cater to the folks that you wanted to be part of your company to join?
This is a really good question because if there's one thing I've learned from watching other people, this is not from myself. It is building diverse and inclusive communities does not happen accidentally. What happens accidentally is we surround ourselves with a lot of people who are like us. We move to neighborhoods with people who look like us. We go to churches with people who look like us. We send our kids to schools who look like us. I'm not immune from that at all. And I'm really lucky because I have a dear friend, Dr. Kimberly McLaughlin. She and I run a podcast together. She launched a company a year before I did, and we were both teaching at the same school. And she had an event for her company, and it was the most diverse group of people I had been in. And it was socioeconomically, racially, age. I mean, all ages present, all rallying around this concept that she had. And I just said, teach me, just teach me how you are reaching so many different people and getting so many people on board with the same thing. And so before I even launched F-Flat, she and I had many conversations about what does outreach look like when you are doing outreach specifically to say, hey, you have a different lived experience than I do, and I need your buy-in, and I want you to be part of this. And so it was a conscious effort on my part to say, our metric is the experiences that we're sharing. And so I remember our very first blog series, a month after we opened our doors, I hunted, just experiences, like a diversity in experiences. I remember finding a woman who taught overseas and saying like, can you share about your experience? And you're in higher education and, you come from a culture that I don't know much about. And so doing a lot of outreach in that way and just being really honest. But I think what happens then is if people feel like they see themselves represented in a space, they feel more likely to reach out. And so in the beginning, it was a lot of intentional work. And now I think because our community is what it is, we just get, we're open for submissions right now, and we're getting such a diversity of submissions. And I think it's because we're actively cultivating that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah. I think it's good for anyone that's trying to I think the biggest thing that whenever people are trying new ideas or new things, it's always uneasy to ask questions. And that's great that the intentionality of the questions you ask and the outreach to other people, it's needed. If you're going to create something good, it's needed. Yeah. And
I should say, it's not every person that I've ever reached out to has said, great, this is a good fit. I mean, I've had so much rejection. I've also had people who have lived in their sense of mission and meaning and who have told me, hey, love what you're doing. I will only publish with a Black female owned company. And I've had to say like, yes, thank you. That's great. We're not for everyone, And so I think there's been a lot of me putting myself out there, and the beauty of it now is that it's not, I'm not the gatekeeper. We have a visionary board and we have other people in our community who are cultivating projects and deciding which ones we move forward with. But in the beginning, it was a lot of me just like knocking on doors. Hey, do you want to publish something with us? Hey, I think you have something valuable to share. Can you share it? And sometimes it worked out and sometimes it was a no.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does professional development look like? You mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah. So in 2020, we hosted a virtual and online, let's figure out how to teach music this fall.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Symposium. And it went really well. And again, I think what went well about it is just the, all of the humans that were part of that. And so over the past few years, we've just collected so many PD sessions that are really valuable. And we thought like, how can we use these and continue to create resources for teachers, not just once a year, but that can be used throughout the year. And so we launched our Learn platform last May, and it's basically a membership where, you know, you pay a fee and then you get access to all of our workshops for the school year. You get PD credit for it. And then you also get regular monthly meetings to just come on Zoom with me and chat about teaching. And it's been a really nice way to kind of cultivate our community of people who are excited about our work and want, you know, a little bit more connection with what we do.
That's great. So it's accessible from anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's just all digital.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So have you done in-person workshops?
Yes.
Yes.
We had the past 2 years, we hosted our conference in person in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And that was another learning experience.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've been, you know, we just keep experimenting to see what works best. But I think being able to reach people all around the world is super important to us. And so we're never going to lose that virtual piece.
It'll never be not that flat.
Yes, exactly. And it's funny because, you know, I was just talking to my brother about this, who runs a company with me. And when after COVID, a lot of people went back to their roots, which was in person. Us going back to our roots is Zoom. Zoom was always our roots.
Fair.
So.
Okay. So I was like looking up some stuff, and you were talking to it was Dr. Selfridge.
Steve.
Yes,
Yeah.
Steve. Yeah, and you were talking. This is early into the pandemic. I think it's actually only 5 days into it, or at least in the United States. And you were talking about the necessity of teachers like rethinking paradigms, and I feel like that's been your ethos for a lot of FLAD, like rethinking paradigms. And now that we're kind of now in this, because that was early COVID, like we're now late COVID, late COVID. I'm not sure exactly. COVID will always be somewhere in that title, but what are like the paradigms that you feel like we need to challenge now?
That's such a good question. I need to revisit that interview because I'm so curious to see what I would have said a few days into the pandemic.
Well, I can say a few things if you want me to, but
sure.
Yeah, something you mentioned was like the why, and it's the answer. It's not profit, by the way. But the why of what we teach, because you were saying to him that we're focused a lot on like the what's, make sure we have good embouchure placement, focusing on things that we've done over the years, and we've forgotten. And now that we've entered this digital space, we couldn't do those things, so we have to re-question what's our why. Why did we teach what we taught? And you're focusing a lot on just community-based elements.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that would still be my answer, which is good. You know,
still tracks.
Yes, good. Being at NAMM for these past couple of days, and you know, the session I gave yesterday was really talking about connecting students with industry standards or industry aligned skills and experiences, and really lifelong music making. And I think once things went quote unquote back to normal, as you're saying, it was very easy for folks to just go back to the practices they were entrenched in and say, that was fun that we tried Soundtrap for a couple of months because we had to, but now let's go back to our old way of doing things.
Right.
And the why piece is really important because, you know, if the why is musical brilliance at a band competition senior year of high school, that really doesn't have a ton of connective tissue beyond K-12 schooling. And so for me, everything that I get most excited about is how are we reaching students in lifelong music making. And if that's the real goal, it's going to involve a lot of change in how we approach music in our schools and how we approach those community partnerships that we're making.
Okay.
I was hanging out with the El Sistema people yesterday, and it was really fun to hear their take on that same thing. And they were, you know, holding an air violin and saying, we tell the kids, this is your ticket. This is your ticket anywhere you want to go. And I got goosebumps. Yeah. Music, lifelong music making, it is the ticket to being a happy, healthy, connected human who can go anywhere they want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and music for leisure, you know, music for
your own enjoyment.
Pleasure. You know, I have a good friend who's a music teacher in Philly, and she started a they started a community choir in our neighborhood. It's like a bar choir. They're popping up all over the country.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
They put out an all call on Facebook, and our first meeting, we had 150 people come from the neighborhood. And the people that I sat with came by them, 2 women came by themselves just because they saw it on Facebook, and they said, I don't think I'm a good singer, but I just really love singing with other people. And I thought, this is, and you know, they didn't hand out sheet music. They handed out a lyric sheet and taught by rote. And we performed in 3-part harmony, and it was awesome. And I was just like, this is what music education should be.
It should, yeah.
It's a room full of people experiencing immense joy and connection.
Yes.
And why are so many of our music programs devoid of joy?
Right. Thank you.
What are we doing?
I don't know. If you're not having fun as an elementary music teacher, like what are you doing?
No,
or
seriously.
any music teacher.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, and it's fast. I think I mentioned this in the podcast before. I have a friend of mine that loves music. Music was like a big core of who he was, still is. But the thing was, he cannot play unless there's music in front of him.
Yeah.
And even though he has a joy of playing music, he cannot. There needs to be something that's written in front of him because that's how he's been conditioned.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's for me. It's like, man, what a gate that we focused so much on throughout our entire, from K to beyond. And now that he's outside of the system and he wants to do music, but he can't. So he's doing a lot of unlearning. He's trying to learn he played the trombone before. Now he's learning the tin whistle. So he's enjoying, but it's been a lot of
and how many people do you know who don't value their own skill, right? Like, I don't really play guitar, you know, but they do for their own joy.
I still have that feeling about myself. Like,
yes.
It's a reason why I kind of stay away from the piano, because even though there's a huge floor and a huge ceiling, like there's that notion of, but the good people play piano. Those who are, you have to play a certain way. It's like,
Yeah. I had a parent call me out on that early on. It would have been 16 years ago now. Who she said, you're always saying you don't play guitar and you don't play piano, but then I see you up there playing guitar and piano.
And they're like, to our ears, that means you play.
Right.
Yeah. She's like, you need to stop saying that.
I remember when the main course that I taught at the school I taught at for 16 years was a creative arts course that I co-taught with an art teacher, a visual art teacher, and every kid in the school had to take it to graduate. Okay. So I taught every kid who went through my high school for 16 years, which is such a privilege. And I got to unlock, the first project I did with them was they had to pick an instrument and form a cover band and play music.
Yes.
And so every kid, from the concert master of the orchestra to the kid who said, I'm never touching a music instrument in my life, they all had to do it. It was the most, democratizing situation. And sometimes the ensemble kids were the ones who had the hardest time with it.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And I remember a kid who was also in the band that I was working with at the time, and he sat there with his saxophone and he looked at me, and I just told him what notes to play. I said, just play this, this, and this, and then you'll be good with the chords. And he's like, I didn't know I was allowed to use this instrument if there wasn't music.
Whoa.
And he really felt like, I can only use this instrument with music in front of me. And that's the moment when I thought like, everything I'm doing has to change. And with my orchestra students, I also taught them keyboarding skills. I taught them basic ukulele and basic guitar, because in my mind, like the chance of you taking a viola into your dorm room and just pouring your feelings into it are smaller than maybe you bringing a ukulele with you.
Yeah.
And so
true.
Finding, like you said, if I play trombone, the chances of me just, jamming on the trombone at home might not be as great as accompanying myself on my favorite songs on the guitar. So I think, having a balance between harmonizing instruments and solo instruments is also important.
But if you use multiphonics, if you sing into your trombone, I feel like you can do something. There are
That's beyond now I can't do that. I can say that with full confidence. I don't play trombon and sing into it.
I'm gonna add a comma yet there.
Yes.
Just
and not something I'm interested in developing.
After we got our grant, After we got our grant from Save the Music, when we had orchestra instruments come into the school, we had already had a few Orff instruments for a while. And so I was teaching, Orff Schul work, like the process with those instruments. But I went straight back to teaching like out of a book for the strings because that's what I knew until a good friend of mine who is a professional electric violinist. She like plays weddings and stuff around San Diego. She came and hung out, and she taught the kids what she does every single day for a warm-up. She put on, I don't even remember what song it was now, but some pop song that they could play along to with their open strings. She's like, if you can bow, or you can just pluck, just make something up. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I make this connection?
It's so, I mean, we teach how we were taught. And I it's not like I grew up with creative musicianship being given to me. I was a classical pianist, and it was very strict, and I was a very good sight reader. And I was, I felt like I was naked if there wasn't music in front of me.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I had other people unlock that for me, and I felt empowered to be a musician outside of the music I saw in front of me, that it transformed me. But it took me a long time to do that in the classroom because I taught the way that I had been taught. Right. And those types of informal learning experiences, I never connected with my classroom stuff.
I love the direction that this conversation took.
Yeah,
this is awesome. Yes, I know. We have more to talk about. So I think we might have to have you back.
I love
sometime in the future. Thank you so much for this conversation. Is there anything else that you wanted to do to kind of like tie up the F-flat books part?
Just to anyone who's listening, I think something that we probably don't say enough is that, we have power over very few things in a huge system. But, anyone who has supported us or supported our authors, we see it. It's kind of like, I remember being a barista and you get to know the regulars and you see them come in. And you're like, oh, I know what you order. That's how I feel as a small business owner. When someone purchases a book from our site, I'm texting my authors. I'm like, do you know that your book your book just went to Portugal? Isn't that cool? And it is so incredibly affirming when people support our work. So if you're considering supporting small businesses, know that it does make a tangible difference. And that's how we can keep going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Sarah, how can they follow you?
So we are on the socials.
Hey.
Not really Twitter or X. Tried it, couldn't do it. But we're on Facebook, Instagram at @FlatBooks.
Jump on Threads or no?
There might be one thread.
One thread.
So
there is a thread.
Just come on and see what might happen.
Just keep hit that like.
Exactly. And people can also email me, Sarah @flat-books.com. I love answering questions, connecting people, curating resources. So any questions they have, they can connect with me.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll be back with the Spiccato after the break. I want to take a quick break and thank my husband, Bryan, who's been working behind the scenes producing these episodes every week on all of the platforms and on time. But you need to know that he is first a financial planner for Mission Trails Financial. Mission Trails Financial is a partner that seeks to guide clients in the journey to financial success. They believe that people need a financial advisor that aims to provide strategies for success. Mission Trails Financial helps people navigate investments, tax planning, and insurance. Imagine working with an advisor who isn't tied to specific brands. Mission Trails Financial has a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their clients by providing independent, objective advice. Their mission is to help clients accomplish their financial goals. As Joe Vitale once said, a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Do yourself a favor and set up a time to chat with Mission Trails Financial. Visit www.missiontrailsfinancial.com or call 619-419-0238 to schedule a call. You'll be glad you did. We believe that leaning on professionals is how we get ahead. Check out the program notes for more information. Okay, we're back with the Spiccato. So we were just explaining to Dr. Gulish over here that for Spiccato, we take turns bringing random things and talking about how we're going to use them in music class.
Ooh.
We're at NAMM, and so there's lots of swag.
Yeah.
Lots.
And I might have snuck past this booth that was giving out drumstick pens many times. I'll just take another one of those. So these are pens that are also drumstick shaped.
Wow.
They're super cute. I had to get a bunch of them. Besides the obvious, how would you use a drumstick pen in music
What's
class?
the obvious?
The drumsticks, Jon.
I mean, there's also the pen part.
Yeah, there's two obvious.
There's two obviouses. There's two ends to this here.
Can I just say this reminds me of so my husband's a drummer.
Okay.
And when my first child, my son, was born, I had ordered tiny drumsticks so that we took photos of him like hours after his birth of him holding tiny drumsticks.
Oh, that's
wow.
so sweet.
It's so ridiculous.
That's so cute though. I love that.
How big were they?
Like this size. This is what it's reminding me of. His little gripped hands are on it.
I'm so here for it.
Can I say something that uses them as drumsticks, but in an unconventional way?
Please do.
So this is kind of an idea from a book called Free to Be Musical by Lee Higgins, which I highly recommend. But it's a riff off of that. In my orchestra class, we would get rhythm sticks or even pens, which this is kind of perfect because it's both. And some days we would flip the chairs over, have them sit on the floor, and then play different rhythms on their chairs. So whatever rhythm was tricky, we would say like, we're not even getting our instruments out today. We're flipping the chairs over.
We're
treating them as like a little drum set with the legs and the base of the chair and everything else. And we're going to take whatever's in our bag that looks like a stick and we'll play with it. So these would be great for it.
Just to clarify, you're not flipping it upside down, right?
Yes, we're flipping it upside down. They're sitting on the floor. Chair is flipped upside down, so the legs are sticking up.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought you meant turning them around.
No, like flipping it upside down.
That's a great idea.
Nasty gum and all.
Gross.
We want to say not in my classroom, but let's be real.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yep.
Let's see. Well, the pen then could be used as a scraper for the gum.
Ooh.
Not educational, but functional.
It's good for the community of the classroom.
There we go. I feel like we could use the sticks as notation.
Ooh.
Whatnot. Maybe the up being a ta, side being toddy.
Ooh.
You could variate it.
You can make a little rhythm game out of it.
Exactly. And then grab the sticks and then use it will always go back to them being used as drumsticks in the end. So maybe drumming. I don't know.
You don't know.
I love that. You could have a group of 4 kids and they all have the different rhythm and their back is facing the class and then they turn around and you get like 2 seconds and then you have to read the rhythm.
Oh, I like that. And then
that is cute.
They rearrange themselves and then
it's like a Kodai game. Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but I'm excited to hear that.
No, that's really, I like that. That's good.
How about you?
Oh, so I was thinking that we would use them and have a pile of them. Might have gone by that booth a few times.
How many do you have?
I need to go buy it today. Get some.
The 30s.
I was thinking it would be fun to have the kids connect to each other. Like how many different ways can you connect using your drumstick safely to a partner?
Okay.
Kind of like a riff on your movement game where you're moving around the room and then you have to imitate a picture.
Right.
But you have to connect to a partner using a prop.
I feel like that would have been an amazing one, especially during early COVID.
Yeah, when you don't want to touch.
Yeah.
Well, still, my 6th graders are so weird about touching.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know what it also reminds me of? My daughters, who are 5 and 6, they like to conduct me.
Yes.
So they just wave their arms and then I sing whatever they do. So yeah, you could totally use this as a baton.
I love it. That's awesome.
Or you can make, or I know the kids are going to do, they're going to throw into the ceiling, right?
Yes, get us the stick and the popcorn ceiling.
Oh, get out.
Some things don't die.
One of my pet peeves is when the kids jump and they tag the top of the doorway. I hate it.
Who does that?
He does it.
Who does that?
Every time we're together.
Who does that?
You do it every doorway.
Not every doorway, but
just to get on my nerves.
Why?
Because he's my little brother. That's why.
It's just like
the same reason
that though. The need.
What's the why? What's the why here?
The same reason that I sing the Teeny Weeny Beanie song around him.
I think if we want to psychoanalyze it, maybe it's because I'm vertically challenged, and so
you need to prove that you can reach great heights.
That's it.
He could be like 10 feet in front of me with a bunch of other friends. Crystal. Bam.
I even record myself sometimes and send it to her.
I have never thought of that, especially not as a pet peeve, and now I'm going to pay attention to whether it's happening.
Well, they leave their gross, dirty, oily fingerprints above my door frame.
Oh.
I hate it.
I'd rather have fingerprints there than like surface level places, I think.
It all bothers me, okay? Okay, that was fun. We do have a round of the week.
We do.
Round of the week. Yes. So this is a This is a folk song, and there are different versions of this. Some of them go by Grandma Moses.
Grandma Moses.
Right. I'm going to sing the version that I learned from my friends. So this I didn't learn in choir. I learned it on the playground when I was in middle school. Because like that, make sure we start in A. So I'll sing it.
Can I record this?
Please, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll also share our audio if you want.
And video.
Well, I'm doing a song a day challenge where I have to do a song every day of the month of January. So this can be our song.
There you go. I like it. Okay, I was getting my starting pitch. I'll sing it, then we'll echo.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
So I recently had LASIK surgery, and it's supposed to improve your eyesight. I'm questioning the legitimacy of that.
Maybe it takes time.
No, it's just
It's been a while.
It's failed.
For too long.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll sing it. We'll learn it by rote. Grandma, sick in bed. Went to the doctor and the doctor said, Grandma, you're not sick. All you need is a walking stick and an up. And an up, shake. I'm going to start over. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Here goes. Grandma, sick in bed. Went to the doctor and the doctor said, Grandma, you're not sick. All you need is a walking stick and an up, shake, shakety shake, and a down, shake, shakety shake, and an up, shake, shakety shake, and a down, shake, shakety shake, to the front, to the side, to the back, to the side, to the front, to the side, to the back, to the side. Grandma, you're sick in bed. No, the doctor said. Grandma, you're sick in bed. No, the doctor said.
Oh.
So let's back it up.
Yeah.
Grandma, sick in bed.
Grandma, sick in bed.
Went to the doctor and the doctor said.
Went to the doctor and the doctor said,
Grandma, you're not sick.
Grandma, you're not sick.
All you need is a walking stick.
All you need is a walking stick.
And an up, shake, shakety shake.
And an up, shake, shakety shake.
And a down, shake, shakety shake.
And a down, shake, shakety shake.
And fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
So to the front, to the side.
To the front, to the side.
To the back, to the side.
To the back, to the side.
Grandma, you're sick in bed.
Grandma, you're sick in bed.
No, the doctor said.
No, the doctor said.
All right, there you go. And it looks like my lyrics got a little messed up, so hopefully you can remember. Yeah. Let's try to sing it together, and then where the asterisks are, that's where the parts are.
Okay.
All right, let's give it a shot, everybody. We're going to do it together.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then parts. So I'll be 1.
Okay.
2.
Okay.
3.
Let's try it. Did you text this to me? Or no?
I did.
Okay, let me see.
I emailed it to you.
Emailed.
It's in your...
Okay.
Gmail.
Oh, I don't share that on Chaotic Harmony. How dare you?
Well, you're editing, so take it out, sweetheart.
There you go, put a bleep in.
That's right. I'm just making extra work for you.
Yeah.
I think we should have cat noises instead of beeps.
Hey, again, you're editing.
Indeed.
This one's yours, babe.
All right. Let's just do it.
It's on flat. No.
Forget it. Let's just do it. Let's do it.
All together now.
All together.
1, 2, ready. Grandma, sick in bed. Went to the doctor and the doctor said, Grandma, you're not sick. All you need is a walking stick and an up shake, 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 shakety shake, and a down shake, 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 shakety shake, and an up shake, 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 shakety shake, and a down shake, 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 shakety shake, to the front, to the front, to the side, 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 to the back, to the back, to the side, 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 to the front, to the front, to the side, 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 to the back, to the back, to the side, side, side. Grandma, you're sick in bed. No, no, the doctor said. Grandma, you're sick in bed. No, no, the doctor said. Grandma, sick in bed. Went to the doctor and the doctor said, Grandma, you're not sick. All you need is a walking stick and a shake, 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 shakety shake, and a down shake, 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 shakety shake, and an up shake, 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 shakety shake, and a down shake, 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 shakety shake, to the front, to the front, to the side, 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 to the back, to the back, to the side, 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 to the front, to the front, to the side, 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 to the back. Shake the back to the side, 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 to the front, you're the second bed, to the back, to the doctor said, to the front, to the second bed, to the back, to the doctor said,
to the front, to the side, 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 to the back, to the doctor said, to the front, to the side, 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 to the back, to the side, side, side. Grandma is sick in bed. No, no.
Went to the doctor and the doctor said,
Grandma, you're sick in bed. No, no.
All you need is a walking stick. Nice.
I couldn't remember what the last part was, so I just made up something.
I like it. Hey, it works. It works.
Crushed it.
That was fun.
Awesome.
It was fun.
All right. Good job, friends.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
I know
so
we're having you on the
awesome.
spot.
I didn't know I'd be singing.
Next time
Slip
we have
that
you,
in casually.
we're going to have to do movement also.
Yes, it's true.
I love it.
It's true.
So you can find Sarah once again, just in case you missed it, Sarah at f-books.com.
You got it. Yes.
Awesome.
All right.
Crystal,
Yay.
where can they find you?
You can find me at crystalpridmore.com and all the things attached to that.
Awesome. And you can find me at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman on all the socials. Also, email me. Don't do that, actually. I beat that out. But you can find me on the socials. You can find us at the socials at CH Classroom. And if you want to email us, please do chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com.
Today, email us Swedish Fish.
That's your job.
That's your job.
Or post on socials, Swedish Fish, and tag
Also,
us. Something like
yes.
that. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore and Jonathan Seligman. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at @CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Bryan Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com. Yeah, sorry we didn't warn you.
I'm like, am I singing? Oh,
Yes.
I think I'm singing.
You are, yes.
It's frustrating. Each time you say something, it's like, there's a lot to unpack here. And what direction do I go? This. Yeah.
Hello.
No, that actually, that will work.
How's
great.
this?
That's
That way.
much better.
This
There
is
we go.
great. And then I
Okay.
can see both of you.
There you go.
And I feel very relaxed.
We need like a fireplace in the background.
Yeah.
Just like playing that.
I'll put the funk back on. Corey Wong in the background.
I love it.
Yes.
Here we go.
Let's do it.